and this is surrounding Kulusevski. Now, Kulusevski has come into the central role last few games. Obviously, since the Villa game, he's pretty consistently been starting there now. Obviously, he's been absolutely fantastic, hasn't he? He's been an absolute breath of fresh air in that role, really taking it by the scruff of the neck. Even he seems happier there in a weird way, even though I still think he can play really well out wide. You know, he was asked about, how has he adapted to the number 10? And he keeps saying, no, this is actually my role. This is where I started my career. This is where I feel most comfortable. One of the interviews, he said, this is the real Decky, he said in one of his interviews. Now, with Maddison stepping up his return, it does bring up a conversation of what we do. Obviously, with Sarr at the AFCON, that probably conversation won't be there. But when Sarr comes back, I guess there is a conversation about it. We'll go to you, Stel, first here. Do you think Maddison and Kulu can play together in central midfield? Do you think they could play together in a 3?
100% yes. That would be... this is serious attacking football. When you're prepared to be more risk-taking in that final third and put 2 attacking mids on the pitch. I would love to see a Spurs team where you've got Kulu and Maddison in those attacking roles and as midfielders, and just have either Pape Sarr or Bissouma behind. Now, they'd have to drop sometimes because they can't just be out and out attack the whole time. You do have defensive duties, but a Spurs team with Kulu and Maddison in that attacking line, I think would be immense. I do think though, for that to work, we need to fix the wide areas, because I do feel we're still lacking in those wide areas. If we can do that, then yes, because otherwise we're going to put too much emphasis on the attacking mids and not enough on those wider flanks. And if you go back and watch, in fact, Arne Slot did this really well with Feyenoord. He actually plays with 2 attacking mids, and because they've got the quality down the flanks, it works well. So that's kind of where I'm getting the thought process from. And I believe the way Ange plays, there's no reason why we can't do that. Will he do it? I don't know. But to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. Kulu and Maddison, both with attacking mids, yeah, all day long.
Obviously, we saw a glimpse of what that can look like maybe against Villa and against Man City, where he both started Kulu and Lo Celso together, didn't he? But you could make an argument that as much as on the ball we did look great, maybe the balance wasn't quite right, because we did start, we conceded a lot of chances during those periods as well, as much as we were brilliant on the ball. Ash, what do you make out of that? Do you think we could play them together and have that balance right in the midfield and make it work? Or do you think we need a Bissouma with like a Sarr, then a number 10 to have that midfield really fully functioning?
It depends on who we're playing. It depends on the game state. And like you said before, I saw Tottenham play our best football against Villa in that first 30 minutes with Bentancur on. Now, you couldn't tell if Bentancur was a 6 or an 8. Equally with Lo Celso. Lo Celso was playmaking from deep. Maddison's done that before. So I don't see why we couldn't have a Bentancur sitting deep and then sometimes pushing forward and creating. If not, he wants to dribble, he can dribble. If he wants to pass, he can pass and open teams up, whether it be over the top or through the lines or just feeding the wings. Like Bentancur has that vision. And so that was my biggest critique to Sarr.
Ash, can I ask you a question? Ash, can I ask you something on this? Sorry to interrupt you. Could you see a Spurs team, maybe not every week, but like you said, it depends on the opposition. Could you see a Spurs team where you've got Kulu and Maddison in the attacking mid roles, and both Pape Sarr and Bissouma on the bench, and Bentancur plays in the 6?
This is exactly what I'm saying to you right now. So I'm saying Bentancur as the 6 because you couldn't tell if he was the 6 or the 8. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but I didn't know if you were dropping Pape Sarr and Bissouma in your thinking. But
I was.
You said okay, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Because for me, Bissouma, the reason why people have kind of questioned him is because he stopped doing that thing where he gets on the ball, half turn, dribbles, takes his man on. You see what I'm trying to say? And Bentancur, he can do that, but also he has the vision to pass. And with Højbjerg, his mind thinks too much. Is that pass on? Can I do it first time? Maybe let me take a touch and then pass it. Bentancur knows he's got the quality and the confidence. He can do that. But on the adjacent side, on the opposite side, you would have a Maddison. Maddison likes to drop in deep, pick it off the fullbacks at times, have that free roll, and he can create from deep. And I said it depends on the game or the team. So if we're playing a low block team, I think at times they want to have a lot of players in the middle and central. And so if you've got Maddison on the ball, you've got Bentancur on the ball, that's going to draw opposition out because they're thinking, hey, we can't give these type of players time on the ball. Do you know what I'm saying? Then Kulu is in between the lines. Someone's going to try and pick him up. Do you know how much gaps and holes we're going to open up? And if they don't, all three of those midfielders can shoot at will. So it's not just you're trying to stop shots from outside the box. You're now trying to stop through balls, crosses from diagonal. And then you've got wingers in like Son that has quality. And then if we buy another top winger and another top striker, like what more can I say? Imagine we've got a top forward that can finish his dinner at any given, like half chances, he finishes it. And then you've got a supreme winger that, like, say, like a Rafinha of that ilk, can cross a ball into the box. Teams will be nervous because you've got Rafinha to deal with, Son to deal with on one wing and the other wing. Then you've got a top striker like, I don't know, Tony Vlahovic or whatever, in the middle of the box. We can have a focal point, but at the same time, the focal point, we don't even need it because we can have multiple attacks from different arrays. But then Bentancur is physical enough to win those challenges. And don't forget, Kulu is one of the hardest working midfielders in the league. He's covered the most ground out of any player in the league as well. So we're going to be defending from high up between those two players. And then don't forget Maddison. Don't sleep on Maddison because Maddison's been defending as well high up the pitch. He's been putting tackles in. And lots of people were surprised on how tenacious he was in getting that ball back. So I think everyone would think our midfield would be off balance. But actually, no, we're just going to be defending higher up. And then when you've got technical players on the ball, because don't sleep on Kulu. Kulu is mad technical. Like in that game, first touch into a player, boom, in the air. Or 2 touches and he beats his man on a half turn, physical. Like what he lacks in pace, he makes up for his technical ability and his physicality as well.
Speed of thought as well. Speed of thought, I would say as well.
All three of them, speed of thought, all three of them, they could probably do like 1 touch, 2 touch between the three of them, create triangles. And the main thing for me, it's about fluidity, but going back to total football, that's what Spurs and Ange is trying to get. Total football, when you've got players that can play in multiple positions, because don't get twisted, Maddie's, he can go out wide. He can become a wing at certain times. We've seen it. How many times we've seen him against Arsenal, get into that half space, cut back, score a goal for Son. You see it against, was it Bournemouth?
Luton,
cutting back. Do you know what I'm saying? That corner. So once you've got players, and that, going back to that Ben Davies thing, if you've got a centre back now, like a Romero, that can, like, I know what City were trying to do with that because Stones does it well, but if you've got a centre back that can join in the midfield, that's comfortable in the midfield, that can play balls from deep, or that can travel with it like Mickey van der Ven does on the half turn, we're a problem. I'm telling you, we're a problem. That's all I got to say.
And I feel like obviously getting Kulu in the centre all solves 2 problems in a way because I wouldn't say it solves 2 problems because I still kind of like Kulu on the right, but you get Johnson in his favoured position on the right-hand side as well. And then I think Kulu has just looked devastating when you've put him in the centre. And I feel like you put Kulu on the right, you put Johnson on the left. I don't know about Johnson on the left. I think he just doesn't look as comfortable there, I feel, than he does on the right-hand side. And if you were to take Kulu out of the centre, you kind of have to put him back on the right, unless you maybe put Kulu on the left. Is that something you guys would be open to? I know he had a little cameo. He had a little cameo there against Newcastle on the left-hand side. But is that something maybe that could be a position for him?
I've been saying I've wanted to see Kulu on the left, but now I actually deep it. We need a top quality winger. And I understand why Andrew said it, because he can see the picture now. He's like, actually, if we just get a top winger, then I've got the option to play Son up top, and then I've got the option to drop Son when needed and like preserve his career because we're playing Son every single game. Do you see what I'm trying to say? But if
This is what I was saying.
Go on.
Ash, this is what I was saying. Like with the attacking structure of the midfield, for me, it only works if we sort the wide areas out. Because without those wide players to stretch the game and to make those runs into the box and add to the attack, I just think we missed the whole purpose of playing more attacking midfielders. Because I agree with you guys. The wide areas, I'm still not convinced with Spurs at the moment.
Well, do you feel like obviously Son's been playing out wide last couple games, but obviously majority of the season his goals have come from central striker. Rishi's now starting to fire at central striker, but can we rely on him long term? Do you think maybe though the options that we do have that they're looking good recently, but you might not be sure about them, but is there enough to go with at the moment? Or do you think we're desperate for something like in January to really freshen up that area?
It depends what we're going for. What it depends on the level and expectation as a fan, as a club, as Ange, the manager. Like it depends on what the expectation is. If the expectation is like, you know, we're doing well, we're just gonna coast through the season, then maybe we just because Son can play left. Richie technically can play left. Son can play up front. Rich can play up front. Johnson can play up front. Johnson can play out wide. Johnson can play left. So you've got all those positions covered technically, and you've got Solomon to come back as well. So theoretically, you could say, wow, we don't really need any wingers because, you know, we're quite stocked in that area. Maybe a striker, because a striker is specific for that particular role, where if you've got a forward player, they're not really specific in that particular position because they're all covering 3 different areas, if I'm making sense. Do you know what I mean? So, but if you're kind of going for it, if you're saying, raw, we're winners and we're trying to change the mentality of the club, change the culture of the club and act like a big boy club, then yes, you're going to need to up the levels. And as you were saying, Sim, and you, Stel, in terms of Ben Davies, yeah, like, thank you very much. But if you want to push to the next level, like, sorry, you've got to be ruthless. You're gone. We need a top CB that can do multiple roles, that's on the ball. He can help the transition. He can help the attack, but defending, he's a beast as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So it all depends on the expectation of the fans and the club and Ange himself. If he's saying like, look, he came after that West Ham game. He was like, look, all this pretty football, I'm not in it. Yeah, I want to win. I'm a winner. Yeah, and if he can kind of get that message over to the fans and fans start talking like that, start talking with more chest, then all of a sudden we're already the most hated club anyway, but we're going to be a real problem for a lot of people. I'm telling you that for now, for free.